Hi, Andrew Lessman here with our monthly specials for June. Right now we're going to talk about turmeric. We actually have two others. We have our ginger extract and our prostate support, because June is the month in which we find Father's Day and prostate support is important. But turmeric is an extract that we have been working with for about 25 years. Most companies have only recently discovered it. I say working with it because turmeric is something that's quite challenging to offer in terms of a dietary supplement. Very easy to offer in terms of a quality spice. Very hard to offer in terms of a dietary supplement, because with a dietary supplement, you focus on the absorbability, you focus on the benefits of the specific active compounds that are found in turmeric. And when it comes to active compounds, we're talking about curcuminoids. When you use it as a spice, you don't really think about those things. When you use it as a dietary supplement, that's all you think about are those active compounds. They are inherently not well absorbed in human beings. They're inherently rapidly excreted. What we've done to make them absorbable is really taken a page out of the Asian or Indian cookbook. We effectively complex them with fats. As you would when you cook in a stew, you complex your turmeric and the curcuminoids with fats. So that makes our curcuminoids in our turmeric active, absorbable, beneficial. So if you're looking for a natural product that offers soothing benefits to your joints, that offers detoxifying benefits to your liver, supportive benefits to your brain, turmeric is at the very top of the list. But you have to make sure you're getting turmeric that delivers active curcuminoids. That's what we do. Unfortunately, that is not what others do. So when you're looking for a turmeric supplement, it's very different from looking for a turmeric spice. And of course, this month, you get to enjoy it at monthly special pricing, which is basically today's special.